Hi, I'm Ura, and yesterday I received 11 kilos of a Norwegian Pelssau in raw wool, and I thought I'd take you through the process of how to prepare it before one actually starts spinning, knitting and weaving afterwards. This is about 2.1 kilo, and I guess it's more or less from one sheep. At the beginning I will just take out and look if there's any vegetarian matter in it, vegetable matter, grass, any bits of poo like here, just small bits. This is a very clean fleece. I got it from Valdres, a mountain area in Norway, and it's called Spin0lution. I will put the name and address down in the comment section. So the first thing is to just look through and sort out and clean it out. A bit of another color in here, but most of it will turn out totally white. These are fine, they can just go in the wash as they are. No problem at all. So I just thought I'd give you a treat and show you these gorgeous looks. The farmer went from Spin0lution. She told me the wool was quite dirty. For me it's not dirty. For me it's dirty when I have to sit for hours and pick out branches, grass, straw, bits of corn they have been fed with in a stable. That is a lot of work. This wool is obviously worn by sheep out in nature in an area where there is very little sticking to the fur. And you can see here how the tips, it's very clean up on the top where the cut has been, and it's getting dirtier down to the bottom. That's because it's lanolin in it, and the rain falling on the sheep will wash the lanolin down, and the lanolin as a fat will keep hold of the dirt. So that is just a sign of a sheep having run around outside without a coat over it to keep the wool clean for us spinners. And I don't mind that at all. It might, in some cases when it is really a lot of it, like here, it might need an extra rinse, or what I might do with wool that is where the lanolin is really stuck together, maybe because the sheep has been lying on it, I might dip it in hot water first, which will loosen up the fat, and then I will take it out again, open it up a bit more like this. It will be easier then, and then put it into the first wash with the washing liquid. So this is the next step. I have filled 2 plastic boxes with very hot water, as hot as it comes out, and I've used this power score, which I learned how to use from the videos from Ashley. I will reference them below. It's easier, you watch there. I haven't prepared this wool more than I've shown you. Still pretty dirty along here, and I want to see how it works out. So all I do now, the hot water has got a good dose of the washing liquid, and I just gently push it in. Try to put equal amounts in. And the hot water will now loosen up the fat, the lanolin, and with it the dirt. So one thing that is important, I will leave it in for about 10 to 15 minutes and take gently the wool out, lift it out before the water gets cold, because otherwise the fat will clog again, and with it the dirt, and it will stick itself back onto the wool. So I leave this here, and for afterwards I basically used Ashley's first video and redesigned it for the engro use. I will show you afterwards when these have been soaked well enough. So here we are again. 10 minutes have passed by, and I'm going to gently lift the wool out now. There is definitely a lot of dirt that has loosened itself, to judge by the dirt of the water. Pause it a few minutes now to fish out the other lot. So I emptied out the second box now, and just to show you, this is the water or the dirt that has been washed out in just the first go. Now I will be very generous with myself and just shower it all over. Before you power scorch, I used to twice wash it like this and then 3 times rinse it in the boxes, in bags and so on. These days I do this and I just shower it over until the water is clean. Let's see how well that works. And remember, the water has to be hotter than the wool itself, otherwise it might fade with certain types of wool. Wool can react differently. So I make sure the water is hotter than the wool. So, look at this. You can see certain patches are a little bit darker. That is mainly due to the wool not only being white, but also slightly grey. Once it's dried, you won't notice a difference when you take that light grey. And I will do that now until the water below is actually not brownish anymore, but white. This saves an enormous amount of time using this power store liquid. I used to spend 1 to 2 hours on a batch like that, with all the in and out. If you look underneath, the water is clean already now. So I think this is the job. So I will let it lie a little bit now and just gently press it. You see, if you think this is dirt, it's just a grey look. The white ones are pretty white now. There are small pieces like this in, but they're a lot easier to locate now and just pick out instead of finding them when it's dirty. I can see that I have to rinse it a bit more to get the soap out, but I basically will do like that. Gather it all up gently like this and let it lie here. And then the water always sinks down, and every so often I just press more water out until it is as dry as you can get it. I thought I'd just put the original state of the wool right next to how it came out after the first wash. You could argue it's still slightly yellowish, but quite frankly that doesn't matter, because I'm either going to dye it or after it has been spun it will be washed again. So this is perfectly clean and usable, and you do not walk around wearing a garment from it with any dirt on your shoulders, so to say. So this is the same sort of wool I have been washing from the same sort of sheep, and it has been dyed. There are plenty of videos about how to dye, so I don't need to do that one. I just wanted to show you. This is a carded bit of it, which is nice and soft. You can just spin normally, but what I really do prefer to do with this type of wool, I just take the dyed locks, or not dyed locks, and just gently rip them apart a bit. So the main structure is still very easy to be seen. Just pull them apart a bit, depending how fluffy I want it. And then I either core spin them, or I core spin them in one go, which is also very easy to do with this wool. Saves one step of the work. It will take a bit of time to loosen them up, but it's really fully worth it. And I can show you some garments that have already been spun and got finished with this. See, this is what you then would use for the core spinning. Really nice and easy to work. So I thought I'd show you a couple of these garments spun from that wool. Both are core spun. The edge, you can see I left the curls a lot bigger and bulkier. And the rest of the garment, it has been spun slightly finer. And it has also been fixed with a thin thread in the same sort of colors. This is the other garment. It's the vest, also core spun. As you can see, the wool looks as if it's still stuck onto the sheep. Curly, thick, soft. It's core spun, and as often when I core spin, I will fix the wool with a slightly thinner thread. Here you can see it in a contrasting color. And if it's a contrasting color, the whole wool as a lot will look less flat in color, and it's very easy then to combine it with colors that complement it, and even wooden buttons if you like. So I just thought I'd show you how this wool will look as a garment, core spun and simply knitted. So you get an idea. I think it's a wonderful wool to work with. So here's one more vest made from the same wool earlier on, just to show you, because I was wondering myself how it would wash, and this has just been dried off after a 40-degree wool wash in the machine. I think it came out very well. It's done slightly differently. It has been plied with a commercial mohair yarn. You can see the process on my Facebook page, Natural Co-Creation. That's also referenced below. So this is still another way of using it, and you can see the long hairs, how they nicely stick out but do sit fast without coming loose. And as I said, it's just being washed. It hasn't been felted at all, really. I'm very pleased with that. I was hoping for something like that, but it's better than I expected. Enjoy it yourself. Get in contact with Bente. She might have some wool still to sell, or after the next clip. So here we have the next step. I'm a bit impatient today as I want to do some spinning. All I will do now, I could have let it dry a bit more, just loosen it up slightly. Simply because I don't know what I want to use the wool on later on for. If I want to keep the locks, if I just want to card it or whatever. So I want to keep my options open. And I just loosen them all up a little bit. Basically, so a little bit easier to dry, and afterwards also to sort out for example, long locks from short ones and so on. And I feel it's easy to do in this half dry, or let's rather say very damp stage. And I can also I'm surprised there was a lot in the wool, as I showed you at the beginning, when I thought I might have to soak it first. And all that is just gone, washed out, rinsed out. It doesn't need any special attention or work. Here is a teeny weeny bit, but I mean, that's nothing in comparison to what I used to do with other types of wool, the work involved. This is just very easy. You might think that is rather boring jobs to do all this, but a lot of that is sitting down on a chair or the sofa, legs up, and it gives me plenty of time to listen to all sorts of very interesting interviews, lessons, or whatever on the internet. So this time is really double used, and it's great. Otherwise my day would need to have 40 hours. I thought I'd just show you. This is all that needed to be removed from 1 kilo of wool from the Pelssau, with only one piece of grass and a tiny bit in it. That's amazing. Okay, this is the last step now that I do for drying. I got some years ago these. Let them down. They are originally for drying herbs, so I just loosely put it out on here, and usually within the day or so latest the curls are dried. Obviously I will pull them up so my little cats don't get at them. They love to play with it. First thing they did yesterday was stealing the locks that had arrived. So, a little bit more here. I have no idea anymore where you can order them, but as said, they are originally for drying herbs, so you might find them in one or another gardening supply shop. So, this, by the way, is my new, or one of my new favorite wheels. It's from Spin0lution, a Monarch, and you actually have the possibility to win one of those if you Google Spin Her Free. You can be with in January in a competition. That is one of the beauty of us spinners. We have plenty of time to spin the world into being. I really thought the videos were finished already, but I just have to show you how fantastic some of this, or all of it, but some especially fantastic this Pelssau is that I got. And I will show you the same lot afterwards, washed and dried. And some really sweet tiny, wait a minute, tiny little curls. Okay. From this to this. And this is the result. 6 boxes full of really beautiful, clean, soft, curly wool. Well worth it. You might remember the 2 fists full of very small curly locks that I showed you earlier on. This is what became of them after washing and plucking. And I hope to do something with them straight. It's always nice to use at least a little bit of the new washed wool straight away.